motor that comes as standard in the older Class 86s from Hornby, the classic Hornby 3-pole ring-filled motor. And this one, I think, well, I bought this second hand from, it looks to me like it's never been used. I'm going to say that's probably the best quality that you could expect from a 3-pole ring-fill motor, and I've serviced it nicely, runs well. And in this chassis here, I've got a standard 3-pole motor, but it's got a 5-pole commutator. Well, I'll try and explain about the commutators. On the left with 3-pole, 3 subdivisions. On the right with 5-pole, 5 subdivisions. You can't simply swap them between the motors because the axle in the middle, the axis, is a different measurement. And everything is different. So they won't fit, they're not interchangeable. But what somebody did, because the one on the right, the 5-pole, the axle is narrower than the 3-pole, they've fitted, now I'll try and get close in here, remove the top and see, will it focus? Can you see? They've put a little brass tube on the axle to increase the diameter. So there is actually a 5-pole motor there, 5-pole armature in a 3-pole motor. Nextly, the CD motor conversion, which I've seen a lot of people do on YouTube. So I thought I'd have a go. So there it is. And lastly, the 2011 version, which is the modern 5-pole skew wound motor. I've got the 5-pole, the modern 5-pole motor there, clamped in. I've got a regular DC supply. I've turned the control right down, and I'm just going to show you how slowly, look at that. That is running very, very slowly. Now, without changing the voltage, let's change the motor. This is the 3-pole motor. So we can get, there's a little bit of a response, but it won't keep going. It'll move. I can see the commutator moving about 1 millimetre there, but it's not moving. So there's that one. There's the 5-pole motor in the 3-pole body. So let's see what happens with that one. Not a sausage. Oh, there was a little bit of movement there. No, otherwise nothing. And the CD motor. Oh, it went, but then it stopped. Maybe it's because I wasn't holding it properly. Let's try again. Did the same. It'll go. There's an initial surge, but then there's not enough power to keep it going. Okay, now for the DCC test. I mean, this is the most important because this is where they will be running. So, in lane 1, we have the 2011 version with the newer made in China 5-pole skew wound motor. In lane 2, we've got the standard 3-pole Hornby motor, but it's the one that's hardly being used. I would say it looks pretty brand new. Hardly being used, let's say that. And in lane 3 is the 3-pole motor with the 5-pole commutator. And in lane 4, the CD motor conversion. Right. I'll explain what I'm going to do. Test on 2 levels. To make sure the test is equal, I'm going to put the same decoder in each of them in turn. Now that's GaugeMaster DC27 Omni, if anyone's interested. Basically, it's a budget decoder, nothing special. Here's the 2011 chassis with the decoder fitted. Here is the control center. I'm using the mouse. So by going to the slider, I can click, I can use the wheel. There goes. Did you see the speed go up to 1? Now 2. Nothing happening yet. Now 3. Oh look! We have liftoff. So that's the first thing I'm going to test. What is our minimum speed? 3 miles an hour that's supposed to be. But that's pretty slow, isn't it? That's an impressive crawl. So nextly we've got the loco coming down the line, cruising, and I'm going to press stop, and we'll just see That's beautiful, isn't it? That is just the kind of stop that you want to see. What would we give it out of 10? Well, if that doesn't get 10 out of 10, then what will? I know, Robert Burns will. But, you know, let's give it 9.5 out of 10 then. That was impressive. Next up, with the standard Hornby 3-pole ring-filled motor, brackets hardly used, close brackets. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look. It moved on 3. Watch it come back the other way. 3 miles an hour. All right. Now the stop test. Not bad. A little bit of a judder there at the very last step, but would you say 9 out of 10? Not quite as good as the other one. What do you think? Not quite as good. A little bit juddery, but pretty impressive. Now the third one, which is the Hornby 3-pole ring-filled motor with a 5-pole commutator conversion. One, 2, 3. Oh, I hear movement. We do. Just see it coming back the other way. It doesn't sound smooth, but it looks smooth. Pretty good stop. Nice and smooth. 9 out of 10, would you say? Let's have a look at contender number 4. CD motor conversion. One, 2, 3. Moving on 3. But not on 2. Now for the stop test. Oh, that was rather abrupt. Well, speed 2, nothing happens. Speed 3, we've got that. Nice smooth runner, no doubt about that. And I've tried it with 6 coaches, all 6 coaches easily. But just this stopping. Try it again. Abrupt. At the last teeny little bit it cuts off. So I'm afraid we're only going to give you 7 out of 10 CD motor conversion. This CD motor conversion is really simple to do. These are diodes, and you've got one in each direction in parallel so that the current can go either way. The reason you put the diodes there is to reduce the voltage. So there's one pair there and one pair there. That reduces it by 2 volts, which is what's recommended. And then, just unscrew there. Here's the actual motor. People do a lot of messing about with the this little cog here, but you buy these plastic cogs on eBay and they just slide on. Well, they're quite a tight push fit, to be honest, but they just go onto the axle there, no problem at all. Now what I want to do next is just to show you one thing I've done slightly differently. A lot of people mess about with glue to fit their motor into the ring field. I mean, there are so many videos of people doing this conversion. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you what... I've not seen anybody do this. You drill 2 little holes there and there to line up with the little holes in the CD motor, and then these screws, which used to hold it into the computer when it was there, and if you haven't got those screws, you can, I think it's 12BA is the size, and if they're small enough, which these are, when you put these larger cogs over the top, there's room underneath for them. That does not foul the cog wheel at all. So that makes it so much simpler messing about with glue and solder and I don't know what. Just drill the 2 holes. You've got to be good with the positioning of the holes. That's where the skill comes in. Well, I got away with it this time and got it right. And then get one of these off eBay. Make sure it's the 11 tooth if it's the 3-pole motor that you had. And there it is. Easy to do, but I don't think I'm going to do it. Because in our little competition, it came in 4th, didn't it, really? Came in 4th. I mean, the motor itself only cost about £1.50. So you would have to say, if it were done on a ring fill motor replacement cost criterion, then obviously that's the way to go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to install I'm going to replace my ring fill motors with a couple of these more modern ones. The old chassis for the Class 86, the new chassis for the Class 86. The difference is the motor attachment. So if I want to attach a new motor to an old chassis, I'm going to need something like this. These bits of plastic card will have to be fixed like this. There's a little bit of a raised border thing here, so need to grind it down, which I have done on this one. That's going to be glued there, like so. These are the bits that you can buy from Hornby spare shops. Driving wheels, motor, gears, bogie frame. The only thing you don't get, this axle. Now I don't know why they don't give you that, but you have to, I've got this bit of wire and just snip off the right length of it and super glue it into the frame. Just put a little dab of paint on the end of those axles, just in case. I mean, there's paint on these contacts anyway, but there is, and I don't know whether they would touch, but there might just be a possibility somehow both sides could touch and short circuit. So that's just to prevent that. Well, the liquid poly goes with the plastic card absolutely brilliantly. It bonds it by dissolving it. So actually the bond could end up even stronger than the original plastic. I don't know that for a fact, that's speculation. But this is ready. How is it going to run? Well, you'll have to watch part 2 to find out. That's a bit of a cliffhanger.